Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
This episode is brought to you by Rakuten. If you're shopping while working, eating, or even listening to this podcast, then you know and love the thrill of the hunt. But are you getting the thrill of the best deals? Rakuten shoppers do. They get the brands they love with the most savings and cash back. And you can get it too. Start getting cash back at your favorite stores like Samsung, Expedia, and Sephora. And even stack sales on top of cash back. It's easy to use, and you get your cash back through PayPal or check. The idea is simple. Stores pay Rakuten for sending them shoppers, and Rakuten shares the money with you as cash back. Download the free Rakuten app and never miss a deal. Or go to Rakuten.com to start getting the most bang for your buck. That's RAKUTEN.
This series contains adult language and depictions of graphic violence. Listener discretion is advised.
Warning signs of satanic behavior may be apparent, such as a sudden, bitterly antagonistic attitude towards family and religion, a drastic decline in academic performance, a reclusive behavior pattern, and listening exclusively to heavy metal rock music, almost to the point of addiction. When one or more of these warning signs are evident, you should look further for ritual items such as a pentagram or other satanic symbols, black or red robes, a decorative dagger or knife, a chalice or goblet, black candles, a personal diary with a black cover, which is called a Book of Shadows, and copies of publications such as the Satanic Bible and the Satanic Rituals, and possibly a small makeshift altar. If you discover items such as these, experts advise you contact your local law enforcement agency at once.
That was a public service announcement from 1989 that was designed to warn parents about specific things to look out for regarding possible satanic activity as it related to their children. And it wasn't produced by a journalist or a daytime talk show host or even a local law enforcement agency trying to help the community in a time of emergency. It was produced by the state of Missouri on the advice of the state legislature as they barreled towards a first-of-its-kind, sweeping legislation reform that had one specific goal: to save the children. And what was it that caused such a panic in the Missouri state legislature? An article in a newspaper. To be fair, it was an article in a newspaper after the wave of preschool satanic abuse cases, after the book Michelle Remembers scared the shit out of most of the country, after the PMRC claimed that rock music was corrupting our kids in the name of the devil, and after Geraldo and Oprah released slickly produced television programs that completely exposed the horrifying truth of satanic ritual abuse in this country. But it was basically set off by a newspaper article. Welcome back to The Devil Within. You're listening to Back to School, A History of the Satanic Panic, Part 5. The article from the renowned St. Louis Dispatch opened with the following ominous lines. Quote, "After 9 months of therapy, 4-year-old Liza finally began to talk about her visits with Daddy." Whoa, that's kind of clickbaity, right? Well, it was in February of '89, so the analog version of clickbait, which was a salacious-sounding, suggestive headline. And what was reported in the rest of the article ignited a community and led to a few brave crusaders in the Missouri legislature to carry the banner of protecting the children to the highest levels of power in the state. But why Missouri, you're asking? Why would the Show Me state become the first to draft legislation specifically targeting devil worshippers who were going after children? Certainly, as we've explored over these last handful of episodes, many other states were dealing with the same crisis. Many other states had seen the explosive media presentations, and further, states like New Jersey, Connecticut, and Oklahoma had actually experienced murders and trials where the accused were avowed, admitted Satanists. What was different about Missouri? Well, nothing, really. It was just the right time in the zeitgeist for a powerfully written article in a beloved and trusted legacy newspaper that outlined in detail just how bad things had gotten. So let's talk about that article. First, it hit all the buzzwords. Anton LaVey and the Satanic Bible was discussed. The Church of Satan was mentioned, along with the fear-inducing Temple of Set, before the readership was introduced to the confusing-sounding and terrifying Ordo Temple Orientis, a satanic cult that was founded in the early years of the 20th century. So many organizations that, according to this article read by millions of Missourians, so many were operating at more than 30 confirmed locations in and around just St. Louis, including public spaces and private residences, and even more diabolical, hidden places like abandoned tunnels beneath a major hospital in the downtown district. And how did the authorities know when they found a site that was used for satanic worshiping purposes? Well, the article went on to explain that as well. Firstly, these places would be decorated with satanic graffiti that included some well-known and other unknown symbols associated with devil worship. There were visual aids included in the article to better inform their readership. There was a line drawing of a goat's head, an upside-down cross, the Star of David within a circle, which is supposedly the symbol of a satanic cult called Order of the Golden Dawn, the peace symbol, which we're told is actually just an upside-down cross with the arms broken, also called the Cross of Neri, among other images that, although included to educate, also went a long way to frighten and confuse. Also present at these sites, again, numbering more than 30, were altars with candles, animal bones, often animal carcasses with specific organs removed and preserved, and the blood of those animals seemingly splashed across the entire site. But then the really incendiary claims were made. Claims that set in motion a series of events that culminated in what many believed to be the height of the satanic panic. The article's author quoted a self-appointed expert on Satanism who claimed that, quote, more than 50,000 human sacrifices are performed by Satanists every year. Okay, that's an incredible claim and would obviously require incredible evidence to support it, right? Well, kinda. The author of the article correctly pointed out that 50,000 human sacrifices in a year would far outnumber the known and reported murders in America in a calendar year. The expert countered by pointing out the semantic argument of, quote, known murders. You see, these satanic human sacrifices are carried out in private ceremonies. The bodies are drained of their blood in order to be consumed by the satanic faithful, and then the bodies are burned to ash. There's no evidence of it. Therefore, no reporting of it as a crime. All we're left with are thousands and thousands of unsolved missing persons reports every year. And according to this expert, the truth is that the vast majority of those missing persons were actually sacrificed to the devil by an insidious, invisible, extremely powerful movement that had been quietly gaining power for decades while remaining completely in the shadows. And their ultimate goal was to completely take over America and the world.
Is connected to devil worship. That's the focus tonight of Lonnie Lardner's special report on Satanism. But we want to warn you now that some things you're about to see and hear might be too graphic for children. Lonnie.
Well, Terry, authorities tell us that the most serious or perhaps the most dangerous kind of devil worship comes in the form of underground cults. Most of them are very secretive, usually organizing clandestine rituals in the dark of night. Well, those ceremonies sometimes involve the sharing of animal blood to gain power, they say, but cult members believe their strength really comes from secrecy.
It's our secrecy that keeps us powerful.
And power, according to this man, is what true Satanists are guaranteed. Police and Sheriff's Department investigators say satanic cults often find that power in animal sacrifice. Photographs support their theory, and some self-proclaimed devil worshippers tout it.
The animal would bleed to death. It was painless because the knife was always very sharp, if you could cut it right. And the animal would remain alive for several minutes while its blood drained out of the jugular vein.
And then what?
Well, the ritual would work itself up to a frenzy in a head, and hopefully by the time all the emotion was spent out of the human beings, the animal was dead.
The most common thing in an adolescent murderer, for example, is having been abused, having been sexually molested or assaulted as a child. And very often these youngsters will turn that around and assault little children or animals. They'll torture, torment, kill.
When kids will do their sacrificing and their animal mutilation, they'll do it within a pentagram. They'll put black candles on each of the points of the pentagram, a grill over the top, and allow the blood to drip into some kind of container because they use it for bathing in or drinking.
This man says he joined an underground satanic cult after a lifetime of having religion shoved down his throat. He says animal sacrifice took him to a higher place.
When you've got people looking at you like you're a god, you know, and your parents treat you like, it does feel good. It gives you a feeling of power.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
Newsflash, you can lose weight like a celebrity without being a celebrity. New Glucotrim from GNC delivers serious results with a proven formula that features ingredients derived from nature, like berberine. And the best part? You don't need a crazy expensive prescription. Glucotrim works with your body to support healthy blood sugar and protect lean muscle mass, unlike other products out there. And did I mention it's caffeine-free? So if you want real results, get on that celebrity weight loss level with new Glucotrim. Get it at GNC.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, how to get 30, how to get 20, 20, 20, how to get 20, 20, how to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Understandably, this article, well, it was actually 2 articles in consecutive days. These articles caused an uproar within the community, and local law enforcement found themselves suddenly in seminars and trainings to better learn how to spot and properly attack the growing problem of satanic worship.
The general practice of Satanism promotes three basic areas of attraction: gratification of flesh, gratification of ego, and power. Some Satanists, and a significant number of others, feel that Satanism is a viable way of getting supernatural help because they are too distant from the good God to have any hope of reaching him. The good God and his virtues, such as beauty and joy, are essentially impractical. And it would be easier to catch the notice of an evil God than a good one. To better understand Satanism, it might be appropriate.
These cops were shown pictures of actual worship sites in the area, along with artifacts such as daggers and chalices, candles, and ceremonial bones. Local government even partnered with an organization called the National Information Network, which was run by a man who was a self-taught authority on the dangers of Satanism as it relates to America's youth, and his group offers services which amounted to purely the transferring of information that would help police and families in the greater St. Louis area. The main thrust of what the National Information Network offered was a list of things to look out for that may indicate a young person's growing obsession with Satanism.
Now remember, all satanic people do not commit crimes. Some of their activities are perfectly legal. But there are some things that some Satanists do that lead to illegal behavior, and some of them seem rather innocent on the surface. Some of those things might be just simple vandalism or trespass. Cruelty to animals that might be detected through mutilations and sacrifice. Kidnapping, whether they're adults or children, or even kidnapping of animals. Rape, molestation, child abuse, child sexual abuse that may be different than just harming a child, ritual abuse, arson, murder, which might include human sacrifice or mass murders or cannibalism, drug trafficking, sexual trafficking of children, corpse theft, cemetery vandalism, black market sales of bones and skulls, black market baby selling, pedophilia, pornography, torture, desecrating churches or other religious buildings, human slavery, weapons violations, suicides, disposing of animal parts, illegal entry into mortuaries and cemeteries, necrophilia, or having sex with dead people. These things may or may not be satanic kinds of rituals, but they're important to note in your reporting because they would fit together in a fabric as follow-up investigations might indicate a deeper need to look into the dark side of your community.
When the second article in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch was released, public sentiment in the greater St. Louis area hit maximum panic. The article opened with a first-hand account of a reformed teenage Satanist who relayed stories of drunken rages where he would kill and mutilate stray animals, drink their blood, even stab and cut himself, all in service to the devil. By this time, parents and elected officials began pointing fingers. There had to be somebody to blame. How could it have gotten this bad right under everyone's nose? Was it the mental health community? No. Almost in unison, they shouted, "We weren't trained for this. No one ever told us what to look for. We don't even know how to treat it." So was it our schools? Well, oddly, for a situation that seemed to recruit teenagers, there didn't seem to be any credible stories of widespread satanic activity in school. Could it be that maybe our nation's parents just kind of missed it? Who knows? There was never going to be a good answer, and no one would ever step up and take the blame. But before any real work could get done in terms of a solution, the community as a whole needed to get past the finger pointing and come together. That's right. They needed a politician. So what's an elected official to do when faced with a threat that involves widespread allegations almost too terrifying to imagine? Allegations that include mass ritual abuse of children, torture, sexual abuse, forced cannibalism, with perpetrators that numbered in the hundreds and possibly in the thousands. One of Missouri's representatives to their General Assembly claimed to have the answer. Enter Representative Kay Steinmetz. Born in 1938, Kay Steinmetz was first elected to the Missouri House of Representatives in 1976 and would serve for 18 straight years. She was a Democrat, but back then it wasn't as crazy as it would be today to see a prominent Democrat from Missouri. As you would expect, Steinmetz was a loud and enthusiastic representative of her state and her constituents, especially when it came to the future of her beloved home state. And there was no differentiating, at least as far as Steinmetz was concerned, between the future of Missouri and the children of Missouri. So when news of this crisis unfolding across St. Louis reached the General Assembly, it's only natural that the greatest advocate to eradicate this godless threat against the most vulnerable among us would be none other than Kay Steinmetz. In early 1990, on the floor of the Missouri General Assembly, Steinmetz referenced a study from the previous year that claimed Missouri was one of 3 states with the highest frequency of child sexual abuse at the hands of religious cults. She didn't utter the word Satanism yet, but she stepped right up to the line. Well, and then she did say it. She said it, and then some. She would claim that she had read a, quote, Satanic study that elaborated on the abuse of children being abused by not only cult members, but by Satanists. And further, these abusers, according to the report, took the extra step of dressing up like the Easter Bunny or Santa Claus. So if one of their young victims wanted to tell anyone what had happened, they would sound like children being silly. It was with this ammunition that Steinmetz wrote and introduced to the floor of the Missouri General Assembly House Bill 1370, which allowed for, among other things, upgraded charges if abuse of a minor was deemed to be part of a ritual or ceremony. That language, ritual or ceremony, appears often in the text of the bill. For example, in House Bill 1370, Section 566.100, paragraph 2, partially reads, quote, "Sexual abuse of a minor under the age of 12 years is a Class D felony unless the offense is committed as part of a ritual or ceremony, in which cases the crime is a Class C felony." And the difference between a Class D and Class C felony? The sentencing guidelines for a Class D is 5 to 10 years in prison. Class C, it goes up to 25 years. And so the great crusade of Kay Steinmetz proved successful with the passage of House Bill 1370, and Missouri became the first state to ratify legislation specifically aimed at fighting satanic ritual abuse. And this moment, in the spring of 1990, would ultimately prove to be the high watermark for the cultural tsunami known as the Satanic Panic. Why? Because it was all about to come crumbling down. If you think the allegations thrown around starting in the mid-1980s were scary, imagine this. It was all bullshit. Could that really be the case? Find out on the next episode of The Devil Within as we wrap up Back to School, a history of the Satanic Panic. Thanks for listening. Make sure you're following The Devil Within wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. You can also check out our socials at The Devil Within Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and now full episodes available on YouTube. Until next time, stay safe out there. The Devil Within is an EVO production, recorded live at Bel Air Studios in Los Angeles, California. Written and produced by Brandon Morgan, executive produced by Danny Abelson. For The Devil Within, I'm your host, Brandon Morgan.